Welcome into sportsbookreview.com. I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
And this is the college football show, opening lines for week number 7 in college football. And this is not a great slate. Last week was a lot of fun, but we have got one massive game. We got like 3 really, pretty good games in the afternoon. The morning slate it leaves a little to be desired.
This is the first disappointing morning slate
It's a little strange.
we've had.
But we do have weeknight football from Wednesday all the way until Saturday.
We are,
Honestly, NFL, if you count that.
we're going to get Monday and Tuesday night football.
Got Monday, Tuesday NFL. We got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday college football. Hey, I'm in.
Friday night slate.
And hey,
2 spectacular games.
Well, Wednesday night, Coastal and Coastal in Louisiana.
Yeah, that'll be a great game.
And then Thursday, you got Georgia State and Arkansas State. So
that'll be good
not bad,
well.
not bad. Either way, before we get started on all of this mess, go over to sbrpicks.com/NCAAF. We got everything you need for the entire football season. I'm telling you, we got the best content over there, deep dives into all of the biggest games, and honestly, some that aren't the biggest, but are ones that you might be just a little bit curious about. We've got guys that are researching everything. We've got a great crew over at sportsbookreview.com. Make sure that you like this video, that you subscribe to the channel, and share it out with some friends. Leave your comments on what games you like this week, the lines that are standing out to you, where you think your edge is. We're going to let you know ours, for sure. So we'll go ahead and tell you that. Let's go ahead and dive in. We're going to recap a little bit of last week, just talk about the biggest storylines right quick. The first one I want to hit on happened in the morning. I think Florida overs are going to hit every single week.
Yep.
Florida's defense is not good whatsoever. Texas A&M gets the win in College Station, and
I don't know that you can just put that on Florida. A lot of SEC big boys are about to look like Big 12 football. And us SEC guys spent a long time making fun of Big 12 football. Yeah. And now that rooster's come home to roost.
Yes, it most certainly has. 11 of the 14 SEC teams per S&P Plus or SP Plus, whatever it's called. Bill Connolly over at ESPN's metrics. His efficiency metrics say that 11 of the 14 have underperformed their expectations so far this season. Yeah. That's crazy.
So LSU, a lot of overs because that's a bad defense. I think Ole Miss is going to hit over every week.
Because they got a bad defense and an offense that...
Elite offense. Same thing with Florida. And LSU's offense isn't those two standards, but they're really good.
Yes. I've got written down here the LSU disaster. Do you want to hit on that at all? Or?
I mean, it was just, it's just a bad situation. They're not a good football team defensively at all. They're going to put points up, but everybody in the country, not named Vanderbilt, thank God Vanderbilt's in the SEC, so we're not last, is going to score on us.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And they got a shot to lose every game from this point forward.
Yes.
Now, they got a shot to win those games.
Now, I called this past Saturday Stupid Saturday because of all the stuff that happened. It was just unbelievable, the amount of haywireness that happened. I guess that's a word. I don't know.
Sure.
But all of that stuff happened, and now it kind of leads me to believe that the rest of the season is just going to be like this.
Yeah, I think we thought this was going to be a weird season in a world of COVID.
Well, before the season, I told you that I didn't think there was going to be a single undefeated team in the SEC, and
said
that
the same
a
thing.
2-loss champion was more likely than a 0.
No, I said the same thing. And when we made our picks, I had almost every team at least having 2 losses.
Yeah.
Before all the A&M opt-outs, when I thought A&M was going to be a juggernaut, we had to do these picks a long time ago. I thought they would maybe get away with only 1 loss, but pretty much assumed everybody's coming out with 2 L's.
Yeah, it's really weird. Let's talk about Ole Miss, Alabama, since we're talking about weird stuff. 110 points, 111 points, 63-48. Scored on 14 straight drives between the two teams. It was absolutely insane. The first team that had to settle for a field goal lost.
And we knew that.
And we knew it immediately.
We knew it. We knew it before the first quarter was over, I told you.
Lane Kiffin has, you said it, their first week of playing, you said that is the most creative offense you've ever seen.
I've ever seen. It's the play design. It's the big playability from everybody. When they run the football, it looks different than Alabama, LSU, Georgia, what we've watched Auburn our entire life of SEC running the football.
It's weird.
It don't look the same.
We
don't run the ball like that.
No, it looks a lot like what Gus Malzahn was doing in like 2013, 2014.
Yeah, I'll see some of that.
Where they didn't really have a quarterback. The problem here is that Ole Miss has got a quarterback. Matt Corral, talented. He had some issues coming up. which is why he ended up at Ole Miss.
He's fine now.
He's all good.
He got no issues right now.
This dude is talented. Good gracious. And then Texas has got problems. Oklahoma gets the win, and Red River is just
I don't
crazy.
know that either one of those teams won. I mean, somebody walked away with a W.
Neither of them deserved to win the game.
I felt like I was watching the debate.
Lincoln Riley with a 31-17 lead.
Lost.
Oh, yes. Lincoln Riley had a 31-17 lead.
Yeah.
And let Texas come back. I mean, if I would at that point, that Oklahoma defense was so gassed. I would have gone for two
every time.
At the end of the game.
I was saying the same thing. Like, why are you not just going for two? But I said the same thing in the Ole Miss Alabama game. Ole Miss, you can't match them tit for tat all game long. Just go for two because they haven't stopped you in goal line situations yet.
Or start kicking onside kicks because you've got to steal a possession somewhere.
Yes, you steal a possession.
It doesn't matter if Alabama starts at their own 10-yard line or at their own
at the 25 or at their own 50. It doesn't matter. They're scoring. If you steal a possession, 100% right. Onside kick it every time and go for two every time. If they go for two and get it, which I know you can't say they would have gotten it every time, but if they get it every time because you didn't stop them from 2 yards out the entire game anyway, then they got 7 extra points. That's an extra touchdown.
The stat that we talked about, Roger Sherman brought up, that as far as preventative defense, there's only a certain number of yards that you can possibly get in a ball game.
Yes.
For Alabama, that number was 764 in this game.
That's right.
And they got out of a possible 764 from where they got the ball every time they started. What was it? 723. They 41 yards.
They played 41 yards of preventative defense.
Yeah, so Alabama had to punt from the Ole Miss 40 at one point, and they fumbled the ball at the 1 yard line one time. Other than that, they scored touchdowns every single drive. It was insane. Absolutely insane. Yep. All right, enough of the recap from last week. Let's go ahead and dive into Week 7. Good gracious. Wednesday night game, Coastal Carolina against Louisiana. It's rotation 169 and 170. Louisiana opened a 7.5-point favorite, the total at 55.5, and it has gone down to 7 since the line opened and we've started recording. Now, obviously, people hit these opening lines super quick, so the line moves a lot right at first, and then it kind of settles in, right? So that's when we record these, is once the line is kind of settled, we jump in here. Louisiana, we talked about this last week because we talked about this game, and then it got moved. I don't trust Louisiana to be able to cover a touchdown, and I think Coastal Carolina is actually a pretty good team. Jamie Chadwell and that bunch, like their offense is rolling. It is incredibly difficult to prepare for. I'm sure that Louisiana appreciates the extra time.
I was just about to say, the extra time might help Louisiana.
But I also wonder about, Louisiana did get hit with a hurricane. However, it did not really affect Lafayette.
No.
So I wonder if they just spent all this extra time studying up on that. At the same time, you give that little bit of extra time to Coastal, and they're obviously going to be well prepared as well. But Coastal looks really good, man.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where I've either got to play Coastal or I got to walk away from the game. Louisiana has not proven since beating Iowa State that they could kind of manhandle somebody.
Well, and
they played some lesser opponents than Coastal Carolina.
Yes, against Iowa State, they weren't great in that ball game.
No.
They had 3 massive plays that netted them 21 points. They had a punt return, a kick return, and 1 75-yard touchdown pass that was just a blown coverage.
But special teams and defense
are very important.
In that game. They have not – their defense hasn't looked that special since that game.
Yes.
Other teams have scored on them much easier than Brock Purdy and the Iowa State Cyclones.
No, you are correct about that. So our lean right now would be Coastal Carolina, I think, for both of us.
I think so, too.
Yeah, I think so.
It's either that or I got to walk away. I can't bet on Louisiana again.
You got that right. Moving into Thursday, October the 15th, we've got Georgia State going to Arkansas State. Rotation 105-106. Arkansas State opened a 3.5-point favorite at home. The total is 72. A lot of points in this game. However, Georgia State, they can put up some points with the best of them. And Arkansas State as well. Obviously, we understand Blake Anderson's offense and the way that, they don't run necessarily tempo, but they can move the ball up and down the field.
He's got some big athletic receivers that are just tough to match up with.
And 2 good quarterbacks.
Well, yeah. Well, and 2 big receivers. So
yes.
It's not like you can just double team one of them.
No, you're right about that. You were right about that. So I'd kind of like Arkansas State minus the 5 here at home in the middle of the week. However, Georgia State did not play last weekend, and you get almost 2 weeks to prepare for it. And Arkansas State played Central Arkansas and rung up 50 points on them. Handled that fairly easily. I would have to lean Arkansas State, but it's probably a stay away for me.
Yeah.
So
it's one of those where I'm either going to play State or I'm going to walk.
Yeah. I
don't feel good enough betting against them right now.
Yes, I agree with that. Moving into the Friday night games, and boy, do we have a couple of doozies here. We love the G5 games. We love good G5 games, and we've got 2 of them here.
Got great ones.
SMU, a 7.5-point favorite at Tulane. It's rotation 107-108, total at 67.5, and we would guess that total is probably going to go up. These are 2 teams that can absolutely score. Defense is not very great.
Yeah, but say it's going to be optional.
SMU, the line has gone down to 7, and I was a little surprised by that because I think SMU is the considerably better team here.
You can get it at 6.5 at a lot of places.
Now, the other side of this is that we have no idea which Tulane team is going to show up.
Well, I do know. I know exactly which Tulane team is going to show up, but I don't know which half it's going to be which one. Tulane has played 4 games now?
Yes, that's correct.
All 4 games, they have played one half of the football game exceptionally well. And the other half as poorly as you could possibly imagine.
Yep, that's true. That is true.
My issue is I love SMU in this game because they are talented enough to where it doesn't matter which half Tulane, I've called them that twice tonight. Tulane plays well. The half that they play poorly, SMU's talent will ring it up on you. And if it's the first, you can't play good enough to catch up to them. And if it's the second, then they're just going to run away with the ball game.
Yeah, I think you're right.
That's my only thought. If this is under a touchdown, you can find 6.5 at a couple places right now. Almost all the places right now. 2 7s, everything else 6.5.
A lot of money, it appears, coming in on Tulane early.
SMU's got to be the play.
I wonder about that. Obviously, we're going to deep dive. We're going to give our official picks more.
Yeah, we're just leaning.
But our picks will be on Tuesday. We're doing a live show every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. in Central, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure that you tune in for that. You can jump in with your comments, etc. Leave your comments on the video. Tell us what you think about these games. We want to know what you're doing. The late Friday game, we got BYU traveling to Houston. BYU opened as a 4.5-point favorite that has dropped down to 4. It's rotation 109-110. The total sits at 60.5. That seemed a little short.
I thought that was real small compared to what both these teams have done offensively.
Yes. Houston put up 49 in their only game. Now, remember, they had been chomping at the bit to be able to play football.
But I don't think they lost the love of playing football after that.
Absolutely did not. They came out and were all guns a-blazing.
Yeah.
They went down early to Tulane and came back and just demolished them.
Yes.
So, and of course, we just talked about Tulane. We don't know what half is going to be the good half, et cetera. But Houston looked really, really good. It put up 49 points. BYU did not look great against UTSA last week. 27-20 win at home.
That's the first time they haven't beat the hell out of somebody.
That's true. I mean, they were 34.5-point favorites at close. Yeah. And for the love of God.
Scrape by.
I mean, scrape by a touchdown. I mean, it's, and now it's completely different because for the most part, at the beginning of the season, it was all BYU.
Yeah.
They were
everybody.
They were exceeding expectations on the line.
Yes.
By 30, 40 points. It was unreal. Right. So, it was about time for them to come back down to earth, but is that they were caught looking ahead to Houston?
I don't know.
Or who knows?
This line is opened up at 4.5. You can get it at 4. It's come down to 3.5 at a couple places. I have no feel for the side here because both these teams have looked amazing this year. I do think the 60.5 is real short. I don't think it's going to be 60.5 come Friday.
No, I don't think either one of these teams' defenses are going to be able to slow down the other one to keep it in the 50s.
I don't either.
That just doesn't seem and if they do keep the other team's offense in the 20s, I would imagine that they will end up in the 40s.
Yeah, the other team has scored a lot.
Yeah, somebody is getting in the 40s, and neither one of these teams is being held below
30,
Yeah,
35.
28. Like, you're not going to keep them less than 4 touchdowns here.
Yeah.
I
just think these two offenses are too good.
Moving into the Saturday slate, and let's go ahead and discuss the noon slate here, and this is the early games. Not a game on Fox this week, but we do have an FS1 game, and that would be Kansas traveling to West Virginia. It's 127 and 128 rotation numbers. West Virginia, a 23-point favorite at opening. 51.5 is the total, and at all the different books, it still sits at 23 right now. There were a couple spots where this opened up at like 27.5, and it quickly got back down in the U.S., and I mean, that just seemed like way too many points. But at the same time, Kansas is really bad.
Yeah,
like, that defense is awful. So, I mean, this is bet West Virginia or don't. Like, I almost can't bet Kansas right now.
No, there's not enough points you can give me to take Kansas right now.
So, and they're talking about it's possible that Les Miles could be coaching this weekend.
I don't know, man.
I mean, he just caught COVID last week.
And it was Friday or Saturday?
Yeah, so why?
It was late in the week.
Why, or maybe Thursday. It may have been Thursday or Friday. But either way, for players, it's 14 days contact tracing. So why would it be different for coaches?
You're talking to somebody who's up in age. Sure, he's got great doctors. He's got the money to have those, and the school's going to be taking care of him. But still.
Yeah, I mean, he's in his 60s. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
I love the man.
I know.
Romantic seal. Take care of my boy.
So on top of that, and what would be awful is if he did not coach and they end up winning this game. Now, I mean, it could be win one for less. It could be all sorts of stuff, but
that would hurt my feelings.
Ooh, that could not be.
I would take that personal.
I bet you would. Let's move into some ACC play, and of course, we've got a Clemson bloodbath on the horizon here. Clemson travels to Georgia Tech, and now Georgia Tech looked pretty good against Louisville, but I feel like everybody has looked pretty good against Louisville.
I was just about to say that.
Clemson opened a 26.5-point favorite on the road, total of 59. That has jumped up to 27 from 26.5.
I can't believe that after what they did to Miami, this didn't open in the 30s.
Yeah, it's a little strange. It's a little strange.
Now, I guess it's just because they haven't covered a single number other than that Miami game.
It's possible.
And it's just one of those things where if they're not interested,
they're
going to win by
whatever they
3
need
touchdowns and get out.
That would be
dominate the game, slow the game down,
and then in the second half, just kind of let the scrubs play,
everybody play.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that.
That's what they've done the first 3 games of the season.
Yeah, so why
would this game be any different?
Take Trevor out once you go up by 4 touchdowns, and there's no sense in
you get a backdoor cover.
You got it. Don't get anybody hurt.
Busting your 28, yeah,
and get more experience for the other guys. So, now the other guys might be better than Georgia Tech starters.
I'm not touching this game. I don't care. Not touching it. Clemson hasn't covered a big number yet.
Yeah, I know this year.
But it's just because I think they choose not to.
Yeah. No, I agree. Staying in the ACC, Pitt and Miami, 113-114 rotation numbers. Miami opened a 9.5-point favorite, and the total was 51.5, which I would say seemed a little short, but Pitt may not score.
I was just about to say that. I don't know that it's short.
I don't know. I will say Miami is now a 10-point favorite as we sit here right now.
Yep.
And, I mean, that seems to be going the correct way.
I think this number's right.
I wonder what kind of a confidence hit the Clemson game was for Miami. Like, do they get depressed and not show up in this game?
Getting their feelings.
Like they've been known to do.
It's happened. And it happens to college kids all the time.
Yeah, and at the same time,
which is why the college game is just so different than the NFL game.
A lot of emotion.
Yeah, these guys are way more emotional, and not just the players, coaches are, because hot seats, expectations fluctuate greatly. Your fan base was worshiping you, and now they're wondering
now everybody
why
knows.
the hell we're paying you so much. and so now you start pressing, and the kids feel that. It's just a different game than the boys that play on Sundays.
Oh, yes.
I could see a letdown after that game to where they have to fight like hell to win this thing, but I could also see them beating the hell out of Pitt.
Oh, absolutely. And now that's the other thing is Pitt's defense has not been
the Pitt defense we thought they were going to be when the season started.
Yeah, I mean, they gave up 31 to Boston College. Now, granted, it was in overtime, and they fought like tooth and nail to get back.
I was just about to say they almost didn't make it to overtime.
Yeah, so Pitt had to hit a 58-yard field goal to make it to overtime.
58-yard field goal. How'd they lose that game in overtime?
They missed a PAT. Yeah, it's insane.
Stupid
that
Saturday.
Explains pandemic football the best that I know how.
A college kid nailed a 58-yarder to
and then
take
missed,
you to overtime.
Yeah, and then missed the PAT that would have tied the game in overtime to lose the game. I mean, it's crazy.
I can't
Absolutely
explain
crazy.
football sometimes.
Now, football is just it's so weird. They're shaped funny and they bounce weird. So
right.
it is what it is. Moving into another, it looks interesting G5 matchup here, and that would be Cincinnati, the Bearcats going to Tulsa. This is rotation 147-148. Cincinnati opened a 3.5-point favorite. The total opened at 49. And it has jumped up to 4.5. Now, 49 looks about right.
That seems right.
Because I don't think either team is going to score a ton here.
I don't think Tulsa's going to score a lot.
I think this is a big overreaction to Tulsa getting the win at UCF.
Yes,
now, Tulsa,
sir.
I think, maybe just has UCF's number. It's entirely possible that's a thing.
Could be.
I don't think that they have Cincinnati's number.
I think styles make fights, and I think they played a very fast, athletic football team in UCF, and they match up really well with that.
Yes.
I think Cincinnati's going to play this game in a phone booth, and they're going to take a phone book and beat the hell out of you with it.
I think these two teams play very similarly right now.
Do?
I think so. I think
we've never seen Tulsa play like this before. Tulsa is definitely playing different than we've ever seen Tulsa
Correct,
play.
but this season,
yes,
this is what they've looked like against Oklahoma State. Because the defensive line is aggressive. They get
the
after it.
The difference is in the trenches, this Cincinnati offensive line.
That's what I'm getting at.
Is going to murder them.
I think Cincinnati does what Tulsa does, only better.
Yes,
that's where I think we're at with this.
The front seven of that Cincinnati defense is the nastiest in all of G5. And that offensive line's probably the nastiest in all of G5.
Yeah, you might be right about that.
I'm going to tell you, they don't have the skill players of Houston and UCF and Memphis and some of these other schools that throw the ball around. They play Ohio.
They can whoop
old school football, and they just whoop people.
Yes, they can whoop you.
I think this is gross overreaction to UCF.
I think you might be right. Yeah,
but I love Cincinnati, though. I am extremely biased in the sense that I really love Cincinnati.
I can believe that.
Are they ranked 8th in the country?
No.
Okay, because this little symbol here says 8th next to it.
I don't believe that's correct.
And Clemson has 1, Tennessee has 18, and Miami has 13, and I think that's their ranking.
That is absolutely absurd.
Okay, I think that's their ranking.
I think that might be their ranking. I'm curious what ranking it would be.
I don't know, because Notre Dame is 4.
Florida
I know
is
we
10.
just completely derailed this thing. Georgia and Alabama are 2 and 3.
North Carolina 5, Oklahoma State 7.
They are ranked 8th by somebody.
That's crazy.
Now I like Cincinnati. Let's pump the brakes just a touch. I like it, though. I'm not going to tell you it doesn't make me smile.
I didn't think you were going to knock it.
No, I like it a lot. Somebody out there and me see the world very similar, which is not great for Cincinnati. But.
Maybe not. Good gracious. All right. I think maybe the most interesting game of the morning slate is Auburn at South Carolina. I don't know that anybody knows what to make of Auburn yet. They open as a 3-point favorite. The total is sitting at 50. The -3 is still the line as it sits right now. I don't know that anybody knows what to do with this. Rotation 123, 124 if you want to find it over at sbrodds.com. Auburn should have lost the game against Arkansas.
I'm trying to figure out what would this line look like if Auburn
lost the game?
It was 1 and 2.
I think it still might be fairly similar. I mean, the game is at South Carolina, but Auburn does have more talent than they do.
Yes.
It's just incredibly inexperienced talent. Like the fact that this will be their 4th game in, right? So you got a bunch of new guys on the defensive line. You got a bunch of new guys on the offensive line. At this point, they shouldn't really still be learning.
I agree.
And especially because a lot of them have been in the program for a while. They should know. But
I can't figure out how these wide receivers and Bo Nix aren't catching up, because this is maybe the most talented group of wide receivers across the board.
I'm going to tell you a secret
in the SEC
that you're not going to
crap on Bo.
This isn't crapping on him. This is an astute observation.
Okay.
Very
unbiased observation, I see.
No. The stats will back this up. Okay. Absolutely back this up. Bo Nix is not a good quarterback. He's just not.
Okay.
And you know it's true. Felipe Franks outplayed him last week.
No.
Like all season long.
You don't think Chad Morris had anything to do with that? Because I don't think Chad Morris is a very good coach.
No, but Bo wasn't good last year. Yeah. Like, it's not like Gus Malzahn is some quarterback whisperer.
He was a freshman, and everybody was playing really good defense last year.
I think if you gave Gus Malzahn a defensive back or a wide receiver at quarterback, he would have a better offense. I think he is better on the fly than he is with the guy that is supposed to play that position. Bo Nix was a phenomenal quarterback in high school.
What do you think that says about him?
I don't know. But I know this. When you have Cam Newton for one season, you basically got a job forever somewhere.
True.
So, and I think it's kind of the same thing with Joe Brady having Joe Burrow last year. Yeah. Like you had a one-time.
But we're seeing Joe Brady went to the NFL
and he's doing really good.
First-time OC, and he's cutting up NFL defenses.
Yes, agreed.
He just got a man fired today.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Should have been fired last week.
Yes, he should. And that plus 1,000 ticket would have been real nice. I know. But either way, Bo Nix is not a good quarterback. So I don't know what to make of this because I think Auburn is still more talented, and Auburn is definitely in. Like, these two teams are 1-2. This is a must-win game.
I was going to say, one of these teams is desperate, and the other team is not.
Auburn might fire Gus Malzahn.
I know.
Like, that is.
If they lose this game, Gus doesn't make it back to Auburn.
I think that South Carolina, Will Muschamp could stand a loss here. I think it'd be fine.
Yeah.
I think Gus might not be able to.
Did you see that there was some South Carolina politician that was saying they were going to use their fundraising to buy out Muschamp instead of paying for advertising just to win over South Carolina voters?
God bless the SEC. That's all I got to say. All right,
it just means more.
It absolutely means more. And we're right here in the middle of it. I'm telling you, we live right in the middle of the SEC country, so we know all about this.
Spectacular use of funds.
The last game of the noon slate, Kentucky and Tennessee. It's rotation 133, 134, and I don't know if I like either of these teams right now. Tennessee, I felt really good about, and I told myself I was not going to rush to a judgment based on what happened against Georgia. The issue is that they looked good early, and Jarrett Guarantano showed himself to be exactly who he has been his entire career.
They're a quarterback away from being a really good football team.
Yes. Now, that doesn't mean that he can't show up in a game like this and be able to win the game.
Correct.
The line opened at 6 on this, and the total at 49.5. It has jumped down just a touch. Tennessee minus 5.5. Kentucky is not as bad as Ole Miss made them look. Kentucky probably should have won the Auburn game.
Probably.
But turnovers are fluky things. So, Tennessee.
I'm going to tell you this, too. That Kentucky game against State, I know I have carried the water for Leach, and I'm getting laughed at for that, and I deserve it. That was a team that was desperate. We talked about Auburn going desperate. That was a team that could not start out 0-3, and that was a kitchen sink. We throw in everything we can to stop this offense. They are not scoring because it's not like Kentucky's offense looked good.
Kentucky, like, these are two of the best offensive and defensive line combinations that we will see in the conference between these two teams. So
they took the ball away 4 times from Mississippi State. They're not taking it away 6 times. That's right.
Yeah, 4 times from KJ Costello.
4 interceptions. But I don't think Tennessee's turning the ball over like that because they're just not going to run that kind of offense to allow it.
No, absolutely not. This is going to be smash. This is exactly what I told you Georgia
should have been. And it's what it was for half.
Yeah, good. I mean, there were a lot of mistakes made in that game.
That's right.
At the 49.5 here looks about right. I'd probably go under.
I would say under if I had to play it. I would gotta say Tennessee because I think we're overreacting to Kentucky because I think Kentucky won a game they had to win.
Yes.
But I'm staying away completely because I can't trust Guarantano with my money. But the rest of Tennessee is really good.
The score last year in this game was 17-14.
That sounds about right. Wow, that's not close to 50 points.
No, I mean that's 31 points. So
yeah. But the problem is
these are two completely different teams now.
If one of these teams gets crazy with the turnovers, you get short fields. It's how we got the Georgia score that we got. You called that game right when you thought the original score was going to be 13 to 24, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
It ended up getting blowed out
because of mistakes.
Because Georgia got the ball on defense and scored, or really short fields and scored over and over
Tennessee
again.
scored their first touchdown on a botched snap.
That's right.
Just
the whole
fluky
thing, mistakes.
Yes, just mistakes that led to points, and a ton of them for Georgia and a few of them for Tennessee. So the game went over, and that's okay. But
there's no analytics out there to predict
turnovers.
Some of these mistakes.
No, I mean, it's impossible.
And these are 18, impossible. 19, 20-year-old kids.
You got that right. All right, let's move into the afternoon slate. We're going to start with Louisville and Notre Dame. Notre Dame, a 14-point favorite at home at opening.
I was about to say.
That's out to 15.5
You're not getting 14.
The total, 63.5. It's rotation 153, 154. Louisville does not look good at all. Now, it all went sideways in the fourth quarter at Georgia Tech, but when you are in a game with Georgia Tech, that is a problem.
That's it.
Especially when you're playing against Notre Dame the next week.
You should be 2 scores up on them
at
all times.
Scott Satterfield's bunch, I think this is the growing pains year. Last year, I think that was a team.
Off guard.
Well, they caught everybody off guard, but I also think that was a team that had completely quit on Bobby Petrino and still loved football and played over their heads a little bit.
I think I agree completely with that.
So
synopsis of how that happened.
If I had to lean a certain way, I'd probably lean Notre Dame here because I don't think Louisville is very good. However, it did kind of surprise me that Notre Dame was not able to put away a bad FSU team. But at the same time, you got to kind of excuse it because they didn't know what was coming with Jordan Travis.
Yeah.
Like the new quarterback, Norvell's back coaching.
I think
you don't know what's going
down early. They got a pretty good lead before half, and they just said,
sit on it.
We're killing them. Let's sit on it. We're up by 3 scores. Yep. Let's not get down by 3 scores.
You got that right. You have got that right. Next up, into the SEC, and this one is surprising. 155, 156, LSU at Florida here, and
How'd we open up?
Well, opened at 9.5.
Where's it now?
It is now at 13.5 in favor of Florida.
It's at 13.5 at one spot. Everywhere else, it's 14.
Is it 14 now?
And one spot's 14.
14.5. It's moving that much just since we started the show. That is insane. So
I love it.
The total is 68, and I would imagine that is going to go up because neither one of these defenses can stop anybody.
The stink all over it. I'm bathing it this week.
14.5 is absurd because Florida cannot stop anybody. I will tell you this. I did a little research before we came on the show. LSU, other than to Alabama, LSU has been a double-digit underdog one time in the last 5 years. Do you know who it was to?
I should know this. Did we cover?
Yes, you won the game outright.
Oh. Was it Clemson?
No. Not Clemson. It was Auburn in 2018.
Oh, yeah.
Auburn was number 7. Nobody expected anything from.
We were supposed to be bad, and they were supposed to be really good.
Yes.
Okay, I do. I remember that exactly.
And they were not good.
They were not really number 7.
Correct.
That's the problem. And LSU was way better than people thought they were going to be.
Yes. That was a 10-3 year with one Joseph Burrow as the first-time starting quarterback. So, moving on, this is the best G5 game of the day, and I don't think it's close.
We're not biased at all.
Rotation 149 and 150. It's happening right in our backyard. UCF is opened a 2.5-point favorite at the University of Memphis, and it is now up to 3, like I said.
Pretty much across the board.
Total is 74 in this game, and I think that's probably right.
I was about to say, I think that's close to right.
That's exactly what the total was for SMU Memphis. The issue here is that Memphis has gotten to play again since then.
Yep.
And UCF can absolutely put up points. Absolutely put up points. So
that's a over or walk away.
Yes.
If you got the balls to play that under, good luck.
Cheers to you.
And hope it don't go into overtime. That's what killed me. You know I had that Red River under.
Oh, I know you did.
And as soon as it went into overtime, I was swearing up a storm.
Yes. Oh yeah, because you know
I hit it. I hit it.
Yeah, you know what the number should have been.
And college football is stupid.
That's the way it goes. Stupid Saturday. Moving into so UCF thoughts here. I mean, I would lean Memphis, but that is incredibly biased.
This is a good lineup at the 2:30 mark.
Yeah,
because I'd like to go see this game.
I bet you would.
But no,
you would.
I'm gonna take the home team probably, but I don't have a strong opinion.
Neither do I.
I don't like betting against UCF. That's a scary thing to do as well.
Oh, it certainly is. It certainly is.
Because they've got athletes just up and down the field.
It's not like they've been covering monster here.
No,
lately.
they haven't. You just don't know the game that's going to happen where the horses get loose and you can't catch them.
Where they are going to just open up the floodgates.
You're just not putting them back in the barn.
You got that right. You got that. Speaking of that, now that we're talking about it, let's move on to the next game here. And that would be Lane Kiffin's Ole Miss Rebels going to...
That horse ain't getting back in the barn ever again.
Going to Fayetteville, Arkansas to face off against Sam Pittman and Felipe Franks and Kendall Briles and Barry Odom and that whole bunch. Arkansas should have won the game against Auburn.
Yes.
And yet, there's these magical calls that happen in Jordan-Hare Stadium.
I know.
It's unbelievable.
It only happens in the state of Alabama, Gary.
It only happens in Auburn.
No, it
insane.
doesn't only happen in Auburn.
We ain't getting into this either way. Let's talk about Lane Kiffin. Let's talk about Arkansas. Ole Miss opened a 4-point favorite, and the total was 75.5.
Not enough.
And I got to tell you, I don't know that that's enough because I think Ole Miss is going to be able to score on this defense. Nobody has been able to.
Felipe Franks is going to have the
Career
best
day.
game of his life.
A career day here.
And I don't know the skill players at Arkansas, but we're going to know somebody's name after Saturday from Fayetteville.
Yes, we most certainly will. Boyd, the running back, I know will have a monster day because everybody does.
Every running back has so far.
So now the line has gone down to 3.5.
Yeah.
So
like
there's some money coming in on Arkansas here.
I'm going to tell you this. Into the drink one more time. Ole Miss in the over. I'm just going to keep.
I think that's the way to go here because I think Arkansas has looked good against two teams that cannot score.
Yes, and they have not ran into this. I like this Arkansas team, and I like seeing them do good. I do not want to see them go back to the abyss where they've been. I don't want that at all. I don't want them to beat LSU. I'm really worried that that's going to happen. But I think this Ole Miss team is the second best team in the West.
That is really strong, man.
I think they're good. Listen,
I think they'll be able to put up points.
I know what I learned Saturday. I'm not getting Ole Miss plus 20 anymore.
Yeah, that's probably not happening.
That's gone forever as long as Lane Kiffin is there. And I'm really sad because that was a pretty good play.
Yeah, that was an easy play. Yeah. Easy play. They still lost by 15.
Now they're favorites.
But
that's a far cry from 23.5.
Agreed. Though. It's only one touchdown, though. I mean, a touchdown, whatever. Either way. All I'm saying is
like Lane wouldn't have scored another one.
I do kind of like Ole Miss in this spot.
And what do you think the over? 75.5 is a lot of points.
I would imagine that
Arkansas hasn't come close to scoring like that. But
I initially thought that this would come down a little bit, but
Mississippi State's defense has proven to be pretty good. Arkansas had to play.
Yeah.
And they scored on them, but they didn't score crazy.
That's true.
Auburn's defense, we do think, is much better than Ole Miss.
This is two offensive coaches that know each other incredibly well, by the way. Kendall Briles and Lane Kiffin.
Well, yeah, no. So
and
I didn't know
Briles,
this until the game.
Jeff Lebby,
yeah,
the offensive coordinator for Ole Miss, he's married to...
He's the brother-in-law of Kendall, and Lane called Kendall for the job.
Yep.
Kendall said, I'm going to take this Arkansas gig because they got a lot more money than Ole Miss.
Oh, yes.
And he says, why don't you call my brother-in-law? Lane Kiffin is friends with too many coaches in the SEC. I kind of like it, though.
Oh, yes, 100%.
I kind of like it.
Kendall Briles was the offensive coordinator in the first year at FAU for Kiffin, and then Briles took, Florida State?
He went to Florida State?
No. He went to Houston, then Florida State, then
that's
wherever. Now he's at Arkansas.
He was at Florida State for the debacle.
But he has improved almost every team because he improved Florida State.
Well, yeah, because they were atrocious.
Good gracious.
This is going to be a fun game.
I think so, too.
I'm really mad at the 2:30 slate because you don't have a great game. You got a couple of games that intrigue me at noon. You don't have a great game at noon, and we got too many damn games on at 2:30.
At 2:30,
my three favorite games of the year of the week are all at 2:30.
And nobody wanted to go against the night slate. So the mid-afternoonish game, Texas A&M and Mississippi State. It's 143, 144 rotation number. A&M opened a 4-point favorite that has ballooned up to 6. Nobody believes in Mike Leach's offense anymore. Total at 54.5. 54.5?
Pretty small.
Like, that says to me that they believe that A&M is going to shut down that offense again. Like,
Do you think A&M can shut down that offense?
No.
Think about how good Kentucky
Not
is on
completely.
defense.
Like, Kentucky's really good on defense.
Do you think there's going to be 3 weeks in a row where Mike Leach ain't going to score?
But now I'm trying to figure out. So is Mississippi State? Not Mississippi State. Is Arkansas that good on defense? Like,
I think Arkansas is better. I think Arkansas is better than maybe not. They're better than A&M. I think they're better coached than A&M. I like Barry Odom better than. I can't. I've put too much emotional stock in Mike Leach. I love this man. If this doesn't work, I'm going to feel like I have worshipped at the falsest of all idols.
Do not forget that I told you about this.
I don't care.
Because moving from a running team to a finesse team is incredibly difficult.
You think it's going to take time?
Yes, Mississippi State for the last 4 years has run the ball 65 to 70% of the time.
I just need to make sure in a couple of years, I just need to know that it worked.
You are a former offensive lineman. You know that there is a difference between run blocking and pass blocking.
But I feel like any offensive lineman who is good can pass block. It's
against
very
SEC defensive linemen?
No, not necessarily.
See, that's where it comes. I think it's going to take a couple of years to really get this thing in motion. It has everywhere that he's been. Everywhere that he's been. You got to teach new blocking schemes. You got to get the right players in there.
If I'm wrong on this, I'm not going to handle that well emotionally at all.
I can understand it.
I've spent 10 years of my life worshiping this man.
Just because he doesn't succeed at Mississippi State should not take you away from it. It shouldn't
all
make
of the
you
things that I
upset about
believed about football.
Well, okay. I mean, if that's what you believed about football, then maybe we need to have a different conversation.
I don't know.
But
I want to have that conversation, Gary. I'm happy in the conversation I'm having.
Let's move into the evening slate here. We need to roll through these fairly quickly. We don't want to take up too much of your time. Yeah. Again, leave some comments. Make sure that you like the video and that you are subscribed to the channel. Go over and visit sbrpicks.com/NCAAF. We got all the coverage you're going to need for the entire college football season. The whole time. The whole college football universe right there at your hands. Check it out. Faux show. The evening slate begins with North Carolina and Florida State. North Carolina opened a 9.5-point favorite, total of 62.5. It is jumped up to NC -10. It's rotation 125, 126, by the way.
It's 10 pretty much across the board. There's one 10.5 and there's an 11.
I will tell you this. The hype train, especially after last week, is going to be all over North Carolina.
I think so, too. I like Florida State.
You're
right. They've got a quarterback, and now he's going to take all the first-team reps. He just played Notre Dame. Mentally, I believe Notre Dame is a superior football team
to North Carolina.
I might be wrong on that.
I think they're superior on the lines.
That's where I worry about. That's where I like. But that's where I watch football is on the lines. I kind of don't care about the things that happen
I don't
outside
think
the
Ian
lines.
Book is as good of a quarterback as Sam Howell. At least he has not played to that point. I know.
I disagree with that.
I know you love Ian Book.
I do.
And I do think that North Carolina has weapons. However, I know that Florida State has got talent. And I know that Norvell has started to scheme stuff. They put up 26 points on Notre Dame.
Can this defense slow down that offensive line and that run game of North Carolina? Because if the run game gets loose, it's going to be hard to stop them.
That's true. I think that the explosion against Virginia Tech was more to do with players that Virginia Tech was missing. And North Carolina did kind of dive into that Ole Miss thing where they were running some misdirection. They had guys just wide open.
They did.
With the zone schemes. I'm staying away from this right now. I mean, if it changes, if I find some new information.
I like Florida State in this game, but it's all predicated on how much I like Notre Dame, and I could just be misjudging North Carolina compared to that.
It's entirely possible. Entirely possible. Let's move into the big ABC game, which is going head-to-head with the biggest game of the evening. The biggest Big 12 game, and that is Oklahoma State and Baylor, 145-146. Baylor had to shut down practice last week. Did you see that?
Yep.
They were doing contact tracing, trying to figure out exactly what's going on. We got no idea who's missing from this game as of yet. So
but
I would imagine.
Early. I think we'll know midweek.
I
right?
would imagine we would know something soon.
And they're going to be back to practicing this week. Too.
Yes. I think they're already back to practicing.
Yeah, I was about to say they're not missing a week of practice for the game.
But we don't know who is out and who's not and all that. So that might be a little bit of an issue. Oklahoma State opened a 7-point favorite, total of 52.5, which is kind of short for a Big 12 game like this typically. But these are two defenses that we think can
the way both
stop
these defenses
other
have played,
offenses,
yeah,
so.
we think that it's going to be slower.
It's the line has dabbled down just a touch. Oklahoma State minus 6.5 at most places, I believe. Is that still correct?
Yes, it's 6 or 6.5.
There's a couple of sevens.
There's a few sevens floating around.
So it's jumped back up to 7 a little bit. Oklahoma State really may be the last playoff opportunity.
Well, they are the last playoff, I believe, because once the Big Ten gets into the drink,
Iowa State can't make it to the playoff with the loss to Louisiana. Right?
I don't believe so. And I think if you get an undefeated a group of 5 team that's a big team, I think they're going to have a lot more say than a one-loss Big 12 team.
You might be right
Especially
about that.
with the Big 12 looking as bad as they've looked. Their record against G5 schools this year, there's no reason to say they're a better conference. They get the nod over an undefeated G5.
You might be right. You might be right. I would lean Oklahoma State here, if only because I don't know who's playing for Baylor, and Oklahoma State has looked really good here lately.
I know.
So,
My heart's going to want Baylor. I'll be rooting for Baylor. I'll probably bet on Baylor, but it won't be a gambling pick.
It won't be an official pick. All right, last 2 games of the night. Let's start with the smaller one. Let's do Boston College and Virginia Tech. That is 111-112 rotation number. Virginia Tech opened a 10.5-point favorite. It is still currently sitting there. There's a couple of 11s on the board. 111.5. So it kind of depends. So it hadn't moved a ton. You can still get it basically where you want it.
Yep.
Total of 57.5. Virginia Tech was able. They've been able to put up points on everybody.
Well, we trust Fuente to put up points on everybody, right?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
I also don't know that Boston College is that bad. I don't think
they're bad at all.
No, I think this is a pretty good football team. It's why I took them as a home dog last week. Now, they haven't been as good on the road, but that was under a different coaching staff, all that good stuff. I kind of like Boston College catching points here.
If it keeps going up and you can find an 11.5, it keeps going to 12 in other places.
Yeah,
I like BC and I like that over at 56. It's under 60 points. I like the over in that game.
Yes, because I think Virginia Tech can put up 38
I do too.
on BC, and at that point, all you need is just a 20 out of Boston
but I
College.
Think BC can score, and Vatek's defense hasn't shown me
that they can really stop.
That they're shutting people down.
They gave up 31 to Duke.
Yeah, I was about to say I think BC's hitting 30, and so they're either going to win the game. And I'm not going to get my over because Vatek's offense didn't show up, or we're going over.
Yeah, you might be right. All right, finally, last game of the evening.
It's the monster.
This is the monster. Number 3, Georgia against number 2, Alabama. It's rotation 165, 166. Opened at SBRodds.com at Alabama -7 with a total of 56. That is down to 4.5.
Yeah, it immediately got down to 4.5.
And you can find a 4 out there.
Yeah,
and
you can find a 4.
That's where it should be.
This is where the line, the opening line, one book somewhere had to open it at 7, and that was just a bad number.
Yes. I got to tell you, I am a resident Alabama fan. I don't feel good about this, but I also know not to overreact to a Lane Kiffin just ridiculous situation, right? Alabama's defense in 2013 faced the same thing with Johnny Manziel. Sometimes crazy stuff just happens, especially with a coach that really, really knows you. While I understand Kirby Smart and Saban coach together, Kirby Smart is not the same offensive guru that Lane Kiffin is, right? It's just not the same. They're not in the same hemisphere.
This game's not going to be close to that game.
No, not in the slightest. Now, a total of 56, I think I'd have to go over that because stupid stuff does happen, and I think we're going to get some turnovers. We're going to get something go a different direction. Somebody will score a special teams or a defensive touchdown. If there's a prop bet for that, you better believe I'm all over that. Somebody's going to score somewhere on that because this year has been too stupid.
Yeah, I guess. I just feel like both these coaches want this to be a 13-17 football game.
I would say that, except that I think that Alabama has got a lot more firepower.
Well, what you want and what you're going to get are different. And they have some big playability as well on Georgia. y'all definitely have big playability. Nobody's stopping Waddle. There's not.
And Devonta Smith, of course, is
showed that he's got just as good of skills. No, I mean, these dudes all are 5-star, so there's not going to be a 4-star test to field the whole night. I think this line's right. By the way,
yes,
4-5 is where the line should be.
Now, does this turn into a field goal game? I don't know.
If I hope it don't.
Like, if I had to lean a certain way, and obviously I'm a little bit biased in this spot, I would lean Alabama by a touchdown because I don't think it's going to come down to a field goal. Like, it has not now it did in the national championship game in 2017, but
it's different.
Y'all
were coming back from a massive hole.
Yeah, which at that point, the massive hole was 13 points.
Well, yeah.
But it felt like it was insurmountable because
it was...
Jalen Hurts could not throw the football. But when you've got Tua and you've got all those weapons and whatnot, you can come back and you can find a way to score in that spot. I lean Alabama in this spot at home. I don't think Georgia's got enough firepower. I don't know that Stetson Bennett is a great quarterback, and I think you're going to have to be able to score if you're going to beat Alabama this year.
Yeah, I think maybe you're right on that. I do think he's got some receivers that just have big playability.
Yeah.
They can get behind your defense. They're good enough. You're going to be playing the game the whole
And Georgia's
first half.
defense is absolutely
They're really good.
The best in the country.
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think there's a close second. You're going to play the first half without – is that your starting safety?
No. That is Jordan Battle. Yeah, so he has started, 2 games this year and didn't start another
3, so I
just
assume that
he's in the rotation.
Okay.
We'll say that. So, yes.
He's a meaningful secondary guy that you're going to play the first half without.
Well, and he was already an inexperienced guy. Now you're going to toss an even more inexperienced guy.
But he was the best you had.
Yeah.
Now somebody worse than him's coming in.
If this was a team that we were worried about them being able to throw the football consistently, then that would be a much bigger deal. I think the biggest deal in this is, can Dylan Moses and Josh McMillan and Christian Harris and all those guys at linebacker, can they play sound gap defense against that rushing attack? Because that's where it's going to be. If Georgia realizes, hey, we can get 3 or 4 yards every single time we run the football.
Yeah, you keep Waddle and Smith and Naeem on the sidelines.
And then it's a completely different game. But if you can get any kind of a push with your defensive line and then make sure that your linebackers play sound, because they were completely lost. They were.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you, Georgia's not coming with a scheme like Ole Miss.
Like Lane Kiffin had. Yes.
That's not close to what's going to happen.
It's a completely different ordeal.
No,
so
they're going to play boring old man football up the middle.
Yes.
Run off tackle, There'll be no misdirect. There'll be none of that.
No, it's going to be, can my guys beat your guys? And that's what these two coaches love.
I know.
So, and both of them got some dudes that can whip some other dudes. I know that much. So I would lean Alabama, and I would lean the over, but I don't know. We'll give out official picks on Tuesday. So with that said, is there anything else that we need to cover?
No, I'm good.
All right. If you guys have questions for us, obviously you can hit us up on social media. I'm at Gary WCE on Twitter.
I'm at Chris B. Giannini.
So you can always reach out to us if you've got anything. Make sure you follow us, of course. Do all that good stuff. And we'll answer any questions you got about any games that we have not covered. Obviously, there's not enough time in the day to be able to go over everything, but we do our best. We do what we can. We'll talk about some more games, the biggest games of the week on Tuesday, along with our official picks. And we might do some parlays, some teasers, some whatever. Neither of mine hit last week, but both of them hit the week before that. So we'll see what happens from there. Make sure that you join us on Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. Central Time, 6:30 Eastern, right here on the Sportsbook Review YouTube page. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you like this video. Leave your comment. Tell us your thoughts on the games, which way you're leaning. If you've got an edge, let us know. We need all the help we can get. We'd love to hear your opinion on the game, so make sure that you do that. And good gracious, what am I missing? SBRpicks.com/NCAAF is your go-to website for all of the college football content that you could possibly need. We got it all. The whole college football universe is covered right there. We got a great team behind the scenes. We appreciate everybody that helps us with these videos, everybody that writes over on the site. And I think that's it, right?
Yes, sir.
I believe that's it. For SportsbookReview.com, I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
We'll see you guys on Tuesday.